In today's session, I'll be giving you a complete overview of Tableau. I'll take you through what is the content. But before that, I just want to tell you that I know all of you would be excited for this course, but as Tableau has a limited trial version of 14 days, and this course would be a month or around a little more than a month. So please do not go ahead and install it right now. Okay. Hear from me. I'll give you some way or workaround so that you can actually use it for a longer time. Okay. So, but if you are a licensed user, no problem. But if you're not, please wait till the end of the session. After that, go and install the Tableau. Okay. And in this session, I'll also tell you about the learning management system that you see in Edureka's site after logging in, and how do you get the various resources. Okay. And at any point of time, feel free to type in the question window. I'll be uh, looking at it in intervals, and I'll be answering your questions. Okay. Okay, and also a good thing about the way the sessions are arranged is we start from very basics and we go to really advanced level. So, so nearly each batch that I've conducted in Edureka, there had been at least couple of folks who were preparing for the Tableau certifications. And after they got certified, they have also contacted me that how helpful this course was for them. So even if you have such intentions, so uh, this is the best course for you. And so by the end of it, your proficiency will be really advanced. But the way will go from very simple to advanced, so that people with any kind of background, any kind of current skill set can get that kind of proficiency by the end of it. So let me, with that, go on the deck for today. And how we'll do it is we will have decks like this for each session, and we will toggle between the deck, the application, or some web page based on the logical situation. Okay. Okay, so there's a question from Arun. What certification level did they achieve? So as I told you, like people who start with Tableau, like if you would even read through that certification thing, Arun, you'll come to know like people with the starting experience first get certified as associate, and then after they have experience at least of a year or more, then they get certified as advanced, right? So logically, people would start with the associate certification. Okay. Okay, so this is what you get uh, in the course totally. So there's an experienced instructor who would be your guide throughout the course, and there are class recordings in the LMS. I'll be showing you all that. They're live online class. It's live. You can ask questions, and the complete course is arranged in modules based on starting from the simplest to advanced in a very logical way with similar topics clubbed together. Okay. Uh, and you can ask questions whenever it arises. Uh, at the end of the project, at end of the complete course, there would be you'll be given 2 weeks of time for in which you have to submit a project, and based on that project, you'll be also getting a verifiable certificate from Edureka, which is also uh, because Edureka is a leading training provider. It is also respected in the skill community if you get a verifiable certificate. And at the end of each session, you'll be given this feedback form. So please fill that and give us your response if you liked the session, if you like the way instructor carried it. Okay. And there's definitely a 24 by 7 hours support. You can write to support@Edureka, and they'll get back to you with the relevant answers at the earliest. Okay. Okay. Yeah, yeah. I was by mistake on mute, so I have removed that. Thanks for that, Uma and Avinash. I was just talking on mute for a while. So yeah, so this is how you log in with your credentials. You see all the courses that you're enrolled for. So this one is data visualization with Tableau. Okay, and this is you'll see on the right hand side that which is the next session, and you can directly join by clicking on this. Otherwise, you can also click on the reminder. There's a link in the reminder email that you'll receive. You can click on that as well to join. Okay, so this is how we have actually arranged it, the complete course from basic to advanced topics. Okay, so we start with like today's session where we introduce you to data visualization concept and give you an overview of Tableau so that you start feeling familiar with the tool. Okay, so the basic thing is the ice breaking thing. Whenever you learn a new tool, application, programming languages, the ice breaking, you need to get that familiarity. So I'll ensure that you're familiar with the tool by the end of the session. And then tomorrow, this module 2, we'll start with the basic visualization design concepts. After that, we'll take a deeper dive. We'll see more advanced charts. Then we'll see how to do the data organization, etc. And then we'll go into much advanced chart, module 5 onwards. And then module 6 is playing with the dimensions and like to simply put at this stage, if I give you details, it might not be very relevant for you, but we'll just we have just like broken the complete course into logical segments and arranged it in that order of basic to advanced. At the end of it, you will be able to share insights using enterprise dashboard, also how to publish your dashboard on a server, etc. And in between, we'll also show you how do you integrate your Tableau with R, which is a analytical tool, and here Hadoop or any other data source, any other database. Okay, so that is also we'll see. Just a moment, few slides skipped. Okay, and as you'll also know that this session is actually for 3 hours. So typically at the end of each hour, we will take two breaks of 5 minutes. That can like for a bio break or just a break to grasp whatever was discussed. So that would be around a 5 minutes break. So each session will have two 5 minutes breaks at the end of each hour. Uh, any question at this stage? You can use the question window to ask me that. Okay, no questions. Good. So before that, let me just congratulate you first for something which I would want to show you by doing a little of Googling. Okay. So I want to congratulate you for your decision to take this visualization course with Tableau. And the reason is if you all are aware about Gartner, which is a very respected and leading market research firm. Okay. And for this 2015 year, they had published a quadrant where they have actually listed down all the various visualization BI tools. And like if you see this chart, it has like the, all the various computers are arranged in quadrants. Okay, the x-axis represent the completeness of vision, how futuristic they are, how realistic they are to market requirements, and the y-axis is ability to execute, how simple they are to learn and also practice in on day-to-day basis. Okay, so you see Tableau here is clearly on top in the leader quadrant. Okay, and No, but none of the other softwares are even close to it as compared to its ability to execute. And as Tableau says itself, or positions itself, is it's a tool of data discovery basically. You don't need to do any kind of coding or any kind of thing which will actually uh, make you pause and do some kind of technical work. Everything can be on the fly, just like flowing water, something fluid that can take any shape, right? So Tableau is that good. And once you start doing, you'll start loving it. So first of all, this is what you should see and get encouraged on your decision of learning Tableau. Okay, coming back to our deck. So as I told you, this is an overview session basically. So what you uh, take back by the end of this session is why is data visualization needed? How to make sense of number? Uses of Tableau? What's good about Tableau? What's special about Tableau? And then installation architecture features of Tableau. In this size, during this time, I'll tell you which version you should install now and and when you should actually go and install the trial version. And I'll also take you the website and show you how to go about it. Okay. So till that point of time, don't install Tableau, and we'll not need to install Tableau as well. So there's a question, okay, which says, uh, Arun has this question: Click View or Tableau, which one is more valuable? Okay. So Arun, very frankly, it depends on the context. Okay. What are you using it for? If it is for data discovery, nothing better than Tableau, because here in Tableau you don't need to depend upon any kind of coding or arranging data or importing data. To import data, you don't need to do any kind of coding, etc. You also don't need to depend on any IT team inside your company to change anything on the fly. For example, you want to change the hierarchy or you want to create a new field, etc. You don't need to depend on anything. Yeah, but uh, ClickView had been positioning themselves as a tool of guided analytics. But if you would know, they have come recently with another software which is in parallel with ClickView, which is called as ClickSense, where they have tried to make it something like Tableau, which would be on, you can do things on the fly. So even by this statement, you'll be able to realize that even ClickView understands that Tableau is going the right way and they should follow that, right? But still, there's a lot of user across the globe for ClickView, so I'll not undermine that. So it is a good tool, but in terms of, as you saw in the quadrant I showed you, ClickView is much below in terms of uh, ease of execution and also a little lesser in terms of vision as compared to Tableau. Okay. Okay. So there's another question. I'm just reading through this question. It is, if Tableau is so user friendly and easy, then why business needs IT folks? Okay. So there's multiple things. Chandra, this question is from Chandra. So there are multiple things why IT folks are still needed. So basically, the top managers, and this from my practical experience, okay, the top managers are so focused on managing their, or say the top leaders, okay, they need the dashboards, okay, but their focus is on, not on creating dashboards. They don't have time to those do those kind of creations. They have a vision, and based on which they give some requirements to the IT folks, and or say analytical team rather, then IT folks, I should say, analytics team, and the people in the analytics team would go ahead and create a dashboard for them, which they can use over time. Okay, and then there's the importance of IT folks as well. They need to they work as they have a role as the administrator for the Tableau server, where the various Tableau workbooks within the organization gets published. Okay, so that's importance of the IT folks as well. But it is nothing where you need to actually do coding compulsorily. Yes, if you know coding, it's good, because you can, like for example, SQL can be used to filter out or get the specific data that you need. So if you know SQL, you can use SQL. Also, if you are already familiar with software, etc., you'll be able to understand the architecture of Tableau. So that would be an advantage. But this is basically designed for or say most advantageous for analytics team, where they can quickly turn around requirements which are there from the various departments. And secondly, it's very advantageous for people who actually need data to take decisions on the fly. uh, so for example, say a product manager, he has data, he has some basic charts also that were prepared by IT team, but he can, if he say he wants another view of it, he doesn't necessarily need to depend on the IT team or the analytics team. He can do those changes on the fly and get answers for himself. So Chandra has again a question. So okay. So Chandra, I think you have a few questions which would get answered during the course. Let me just see you. So Chandra, you had not introduced yourself. Can you give some background about yourself so that I can give you some example which you'll be able to understand? And also, there's another question from Avinash, which is sometimes we need to write custom queries. Those won't be handled by management teams. Right. So, Avinash, basically, as I told you, Tableau still allows the flexibility to do some kind of tweak or some changes in the views by uh, by the by like anybody who has a licensed version of Tableau. Uh, and which is very simple also, but it's yes, the kind of custom query that you can write, the management team may not have the skill set to actually modify those things. And Chandra has a question of Tableau developers, what exactly they do. So Chandra, and how big is the team? So it depends on the requirement. So for big companies, the teams are quite big. But typically, it would be for a smaller company also, there would be three, four developers, and then there would be somebody who would be admin who would be managing the server and the credentials, security, etc. And what they do is basically build dashboards is one thing, publish the standard reports on ongoing basis with the new data, and the third thing is ad hoc requests. So if a business leader just types to you that I want to see the sales numbers and the say returns numbers for last 3 quarters for this specific segment, so that is the kind of ad hoc request you'll handle. So that's how typical it is. And Pradeep has a question. Okay, Pradeep has Chandra, thanks for that information. Pradeep has a question. Is R a Tableau specific language? No, Pradeep. R is opens. In fact, I would have told you more about it, and there would be more about it in the session, which is the ninth module, which is specifically for R. say we'll spend quite good time that time with R. So basically, R is the most famous analytical uh, tool, and it is most famous not because it is the easiest, but because it is a good one. Also, it is a free source, so anybody can just download R and keep using. And because it has been free and it has been here around for a long time, there are many communities in R and many contributors also to R. So like you can imagine if in SAS, and it is a competitor for SAS. So in SAS, they have their own team of people who update packages or add new packages. But in R, there's no team like that. Any individual like you, me, and anybody who has designed a package, it can share it with people, and this helps R to stay updated with whatever is new in the market. So R is a very famous tool which is independent of Tableau, but Tableau has developed the integration with R in order to take advantage of the analytical capability, so that Tableau does not remain just a visual tool but a visual tool which can do advanced analytics also. Okay, so Agrim has a question. Agrim, just hold on. Okay, so there are a few questions which I think, for example, Chandra has a question. In the training, do you teach building dimensions from scratch, or you use it out of the box dimension? Uh, so Chandra, first of all, can you explain what is this out of the box dimension? And secondly, Chandra, as I told you in this training, you will be taught everything from the basics or scratch to the advanced. Okay, so there, if I simply put it, then everything would be taught from scratch. But maybe what you call dimensions is not exactly dimension in terms of Tableau. Okay, so just park this question for a future session. Agrim has a question which says, do you need to install R along with Tableau for the data integration and complete the project? So, Agrim, your answer is yes and no, because to complete the project, you don't need to have R. So R is just the additional information that would be given to you. But yes, for your practice purpose, for specifically for module 9, you would need to install R, which is very simple. I'll take you through each and every step of even installing it, and what are the package you need to install and how do you integrate. So don't worry about it at all. You are in totally safe hands. Don't worry. So you'll get that. Okay, and your project, you don't need to use R. Okay. So with that, let me go ahead. And like you have, like all of you asked a bunch of questions now. Similarly, whenever we take some logical breaks or there's some situation, you can feel free to ask questions. And if some of you have specific, say, questions which would need a lengthy answers or explanation, which may be specific to your requirement, we can still take that maybe at the end of session. Okay, when others have completed through the course and there's free enough time for that, but be sure your questions will be answered. So why is data visualization needed? So even if before I go in the deck, let me just ask you guys, why do you think data visualization is needed? Let's keep it interactive and so that our gray cells are active and we also enjoy this learning process. Can you guys tell me your opinion? Feel free to be wrong. There's nothing bad about it. We all learn that way. So, why do you think data visualization is needed at all? So, excellent answers. Very happy to see all of you have a good understanding of why you are here. So, that's amazing. Uh, so let me just go and add a context to it. I have just quickly prepared a table here. You see, there's some data. Say these are employee codes, and these are various dates. Okay, on which each employee actually, it's the data is called as flights data summary. So let's assume they flew those many aircrafts that day, or let's assume this is can be any data, so let's not go into the logic of it, but let's say on this date this employee say sold so many tickets of a flight. Okay, let's assume that is the data. So just at a glance of this data, I am unable to understand that even who is the employee who have sold the maximum number of date tickets on any day, and who is the lowest, and which day was the highest selling, etc. I am just unable to figure that out, right? There's a question. Let me just see it. Yeah, right. So there's a suggestion here that let's consider this as working hour. But the thing is, okay, 17 hours, 18 hours, that becomes very rude on people. So, but if you feel to consider this as working hours, I am totally okay. Okay. Uh, but when I just add a one element to it, okay, that I do some kind of highlights, we know where to focus. I have just put a simple conditional formatting. This is we are in Excel now. Okay. So we have just put a simple conditional formatting of anything that is more than. Okay, so Baljit has a suggestion that we keep on moving forward and then I take some logical breaks where I address all the questions all together. So if you guys want comfortable or good that way, I'm happy to do that. Not a problem. So Pradeep, you have a question, then ask me right now, else we'll take a break later and then we can answer that. I saw your hand raised. No? No questions? Okay. So let's go ahead and we will take some breaks at some point and that time we will ask questions. Okay. So we move from a normal data set to a data set where this is normal data set. I moved to a data set where I just did some kind of highlights to distinguish between numbers which are more than 10. Okay. And it gives me a better understanding at a glance. My brain is able to interpret it more clearly. How about I just arrange it a little more? I have sorted it by the greatest to the smallest, largest to the smallest. My brain is able to interpret it still faster and easy. Okay. And when I make it a chart, it makes it more simple. Maybe this is not the best chart. Let's see this chart on Tableau. Okay. Here I see the employee with the maximum number of hours across the month, across the number of days that was given, and I see the employee with the least. Okay. And so that helps me at a glance. I am able to understand this. So this is a much better visual for me then. So basically, what I wanted to highlight here is that our brain basically, and this is why I would appreciate the developers also to pay attention. Basically, you have to think about your users whenever you design a dashboard. So you might have a question that if it is this simple, why is developer needed? And I explained you why it is needed. But you can, if you appreciate this concepts of visual design, you'll be able to do a great job in creating even those simple, even those charts which appear to be simple but would be so great to use that it would be adding a lot of value to your clients. Okay, so basically our mind thinks in terms of highlights. Okay. If I see change in colors, I'll focus somewhere. Secondly, in terms of size, okay, I see there's difference in size, and that quickly rings a bell in my mind. And third is the direction. Okay. For example, with the same data set, and right now when I'm just showing charts, just don't just even don't think about how am I making, because I'll actually hold your fingers and I'll teach you that. So don't worry about that. Okay. So right now just focus on something else. So these were basically dates. I'll rename them to dates. I want to see the dates. Just hold on. Okay. So let me just make that month, that more appropriate. Yeah. And then these are the values. Okay. And then maybe I can put my employees here. Okay. So something very interesting that has come right now. Just if I ignore the fact of there are too many, I can later just focus on few of them by putting my filters, etc. But I understand like there are two bunch of employees, one who are very heavily engaged and another who are not that engaged, maybe. Or maybe I can quickly say them if I consider suggestions that was given by one of you. If I see these are more than 12, I think I can easily make out that these employees are on the international flight. That's why they are working for so long hours. Okay. And they are for the domestic flights, so they are not working that long hours. Okay. So a visual quickly tells me what is happening. Okay. Without actually getting into the depth of it. And it is also giving me, if I just remove the color thing, I'm also getting a trend of things, right? So direction is also what our brain thinks. So basically, remember these three simple things. One is direction, third is highlight, second is highlight, and the third is the size. So our brain thinks in terms of that. So just be mindful of it whenever you create a chart. So with that, let me go back to our deck for today and see what is written. And also another thing, I think you'll expect that considering this is the first session, it would be a little more theoretical. I'll definitely take you to the Tableau interface so that you get familiarity with it. But there are some concepts which are theoretical and that need to be covered that way on the PPT. So please have that expectation for today. Tomorrow onwards, we will be say 80% on the applications and 20% on the deck. So it would be more practical sessions. But today it's more theoretical. You can see there are 44 slides. Okay. And but we will make it interesting by even going on the application of Tableau. Okay. So what is visualization analytics? Visual analytics. So visual analytics is a form of analytics in which interactive graphical displays of data are used to generate analytical results and insights. So these are few things which are quite self-explanatory, and I think I already explained it to you on the example that I gave you. It integrates new computation and theory based on tools with innovative interactive techniques to enable human information discourse. Visual representation translates data into visible, form that highlights important features including commonalities and anomalies. Introduction to data visualization, and also I'll just in a while I'll go to a sample dashboard, okay, which is there inbuilt in Tableau, which will even be in your sample copies when you download it. So we'll see all these examples there as well. So data visualization refers to the technique used to communicate data or information by encoding it as visual objects. So basically converting your data to highlights, shape and direction. That is encoding your data actually into these three elements to create a visual object. A primary goal of data visualization is to communicate information clearly and efficiently to the user via the information graphics selected such as tables and chart. Here I would want to say you a good say definition of a great visualization. So it is said that a great visualization is that on which the user, who is definitely not a technical person but a business person, can interpret it in the least time and can generate most of the ideas from that chart. And the chart is made by using the least ink ratio. Ink ratio is the ink that is representing data as compared to the non-data representation. Okay, so the focus should only be on the ink that represents the data. We have this concept in detail in our module 10, so we'll see it there. But right now, for the time being, just understand a good visual is that does not need any effort from the user end to interpret it. Okay, and just seeing it, it it would be clear, and it would help him, assist him to generate ideas. Okay, and that need not be any fancy thing. Data presentation architecture, which also called DPA, is a skill set that seeks identifying, locating, manipulating, formatting and present the data in such a way as to optimally communicate the meaning and proper knowledge. So that is precisely what we discussed. Data analyst activities. So before we go here, let me go to Tableau and let me just go to a. So this is the Tableau home screen, the home page. Once you install Tableau, you'll see it. So to start with the left section, or rather, let me not go into those details right now. I'll take them say tomorrow or maybe end of today's session where you are more familiar, or maybe tomorrow. But for you to able to digest it simply, I would say that once you install it, these are few sample workbooks here at the bottom, and you can click here to go for more samples also. But if I just click on one of them, okay, it'll just open in a while. Just opening the sample workbook. Okay, so this is typically a dashboard. Okay, a dashboard is made up of multiple visual elements, but what it will allow you is, let me show that to you in a presentation mode. is, see this map of US, and say I want to just understand, uh, this gives me profit ratio. I see blue is a good one, red is black. So I want to understand that what's going on here in Texas. If I click here, all my other charts change accordingly. Okay, I get monthly sales by segment for Texas state here. I get monthly sales by product category for the Texas state here. Okay, so this is my customer segment, this is my product category. I get 2A, and this is they are the area charts which is showing me the trend across. This is just to get a feel of it. Don't at all worry, I'm repeatedly saying it, don't worry at all in this session that how you will make this or how it was made. Just see and get a feel, just feel familiar with it. Okay, or if you don't want to select it that way, just hold on, you don't want to select it that way, you can also go and use filters that I just want to see about my, say what is happening in the East Coast. Okay, and I see in my East Coast here, this is where I'm not doing quite well, this is where I'm good. Okay, and then I want to say focus on a range of profitability. Okay, I just want to see my positive profit. I want to change the range. Okay, I'm seeing only positive. Let me go this way. Yes, I'm seeing only the positive states now. Okay, and I can change my order dates as well. I just want to focus in this range of date. Okay, so now you can see all the charts have changed accordingly. Similarly, there would be other dashboards which are part of the same visual. Okay, and when you download this download a trial version of Tableau, these dashboards will be inbuilt with it, so no worry at all, you can just play around with them to get a feel of it as well. So this is a highlight table. Okay, and this is a circle plot. Okay, so basically you have a very interactive, good looking, and I started with it simple to design. So this dashboard that you see can be made under 10 minutes, but I don't want to focus on that you can do it quickly, but rather I would say, and this will be taught when we will be doing that our module of dashboarding, you should think about your how your audience will interpret and how your audience thinks. Okay, so I would never say go and quickly make a dashboard. Take your time and see which visual makes more sense. But say if you know this is what exactly is to be done, this can be done under 10 minutes. How fast is that is. And there's another tab, but definitely the kind of colors that it has, the way it is designed and put, it is one among the best looking softwares as visual design softwares as well. Okay, and I can just play around on the flow with it. And this is the typical dashboard that would be, for example, given designed by a developer and given to the business users. And the business user can, first of all, he can use various kind of filters which are provided and just play around with it. Secondly, if he knows how to use Tableau, it will be advantageous for him. And if he has a licensed version and he thinks that he needs another filter which is not given in this chart, okay, he can quickly go here and just add another filter for it. Okay, maybe say he wants a filter by segment. Okay, that filter has quickly appeared here. So even for doing those kind of tweaks, okay, so if somebody knows Tableau, it is advantageous for him. So it's definitely advantageous for the developers to learn Tableau, but even the business people, so that they don't need to actually depend for the smallest thing to anybody else, and they can quickly do these things. To add a filter is very simple. To add any kind of calculation is very simple. Okay, so this is example of the dashboard that we just played around with. Let's go back to our deck and see more about. Okay, so data analysts activities. Would you like to be able to do these following things? Quickly build tables and graphs to answer simple questions about your data. Answer complex questions about your data with little or no programming. Change your tables and graphs on the spot to look how you want just by clicking on them. Give attractive and interactive presentation that not only informs the colleague but keeps them interested and engaged in what you have to say. Do this all with a user-friendly software that makes sense to you and guides you in the analysis or hands-on control depending upon what you need. So to make yourself a more effective business analyst, where you focus on the insights that you're getting on from the data and not how to do this table, how to make this chart. If I want to change a chart, will that be complicated? Or doing those things without moving your focus from there to actually getting insights from data, there is where Tableau will help you. For example, I think this chart looks better if I make it just horizontal, some other charts. I'll just go here. I'll see for some suggestions. Tableau gives me suggestion that it will look good if I make it a, say, scatter plot. Okay, I can quickly make it a scatter plot, but if I don't see that thing that looks good, I can quickly make it a tree map or any other chart. Okay, so just at a click, I'm just doing some random clicks. Okay, so that may not make perfect sense, but just at clicks we can make different charts. Okay, so that is how simple it is, and we are also at 1 minute short of 9 in my watch here in India. So maybe 9 to 9:05 we can take a small tiny break, and we can come back with where we will start with the features of Tableau and how will that help you. And it is the way it is named is how it can change your visualization world. Okay, so let's be back at 9:05 in my watch, precisely around 5 minutes. Yeah, it's 9 now, precisely 5 minutes. Let's be back at 9:06. Okay. Hello, this is Raj. I'm back. Can you guys confirm if you are also back? Okay, great. So, before moving on, let me take questions at this point. So, Lakshmi Narayan, I see you had raised hand. Do you have any question, Lakshmi? You can please ask me. So, Lakshmi has a question. I think, Lakshmi, I just demoed your answer, but let me just read it out for you. And others also, you can keep typing your questions. Uh, Maybe if I think your question is relevant for our next session or other session, or if you think so it is relevant for our next session, you can keep them on hold for now, and you can ask me anytime. But as I told you, we'll explore it as we go ahead, and we'll take it at the right time. So Lakshmi Narayan's question is, how quick is to combine both the charts or create a new kind of charts? Let's say we have to create a chart which contains a line and a bubble, which is not the default chart. So then, is there any provision for creating that chart? So yes, there is provision. Just hold on for a moment. Okay, so there is a provision. I'll demo it to you rather. Okay, so say I let me see if I have a quick chart to do that. Let me go ahead and make a new chart. So you are asking if a chart which is not default, how can I do it? Okay, so let me say I prepare a chart with, say, my customer segment in columns and then my sales for them. Okay, okay, and then I also want to see, say, and also let me like color them in different so that looks good. Okay, and let me say I also want that how has been the profit for each of them. Okay, let me put it this way. Okay, so I see two charts which are conventional. Okay, and let me make this a non-conventional chart, the second one of profit, by going here and making it say a line chart or circle chart, anything. Okay, okay, and then I can simply make it a combined chart by clicking it here. Okay, and it is that simple, it can be done. Okay, so similarly we'll see many complex chart which can be done, so but it is quite quick. Okay, okay, so Baljit has a question. What will be the single book I should read on data visualization which explains basic best practice and techniques irrespective of tool? So Baljit, say most of it will be covered during this course itself. And this course, if you read the name by name itself, it is data visualization with Tableau. So the focus is definitely on data visualization. So you may choose to first go through the course and then choose what is the relevant things you should read. And at the end of the course, I'll be giving you various resources, examples, and where you can get more information, etc. But by that time, I think the course is good enough for you to get the knowledge that you need. Uh, about data visualization books, so there are many books, and it's recommended by many. But I cannot say a one single book because there are few books which actually are very good in terms of bringing the functionality data. Okay, and there are some books which are very good in terms of bringing making charts which are very engaging with the user. Okay, so but you can place that at end of a scale, where at one end there is functional focus, another end there's engaging focus. Engagings are like creative graphs which are attractive. Functionals are like giving exact information precisely, very simplistically. But as a developer, as a designer, or as a data visualizer, you should place yourself somewhere in between, because you should think if you're who is your audience, and based on that you should place yourself in between. So I definitely cannot pick out a single best book for you, but I can definitely suggest few resources uh, at the appropriate time when we'll be at the end of the course. Okay, so there's another question which is, do you have Tableau desktop certification exam questions? So I'll this question is from Chandra. So Chandra, I'll show that to you. It is available on the web. Okay, so I'll show it to you. It's on the Tableau website. They have example. They have the PDF where they have given sample questions as well. Okay, so let's go back to our course for today. But before that, I'll just spend a minute on minute on Edureka's slide. So I just want to ensure that you know where you'll get the class recordings. Okay. Yeah. So see when you okay, cool. So when you are in your when you log in, you get this site, okay, where you see which are the courses that are with aligned with you. Okay, here and here you can click on a particular course, which is for us data visualization with Tableau. Okay, here it will show you when is the next course, and you can click to join there. Okay, and then this is a button which you can click. This is important, so please pay attention here. So if you click this and you select the course, okay, data visualization with Tableau, okay, and you write a question. So this question should be in particular with the course that you have, okay, and you can select a category which is appropriate if you are facing issue or you need some help, etc. And they will be answered. You have a 24/7 support on it. And this is Edureka community. Here basically if you say you want to form a community of people who are say going for certification or people who want to share some data sources, etc., right? So you can first, I would suggest better go and search for an existing community. Else if you need, you can form a community. You can type a question to the Edureka community, and if there's a relevant one, they'll come back to you. Okay, and if you have if you need if you have a issue or some kind of things, you can raise a issue as well. LMS issues, technical, non-technical issues, etc. Okay, so just use that judiciously. And now I'll show you where you get the class recording. So here, so basically this has every information which we just discussed. Okay, and then this talking to about the hardware and software requirement for Tableau, this installing Tableau. This is guide for learning management system. Do explore all of them. And this is a library of pre-recorded videos. So maybe an important use of it would be you can go through them before attending the session, and then you would have prepared yourself with appropriate queries. But something that you can see here that our module currently is 10 modules. Sometime back it used to be 8 modules. So it will not be one-to-one match with our content for each module, but it would be fairly similar. Okay, and now this is the current running course, okay, for which you will see on this tab each module is there, okay, and for each module when you click, it will open up. It will have some presentation, a quiz you can attempt, okay, and then after the session is over, you'll also have you'll also have a recording that would appear here, okay. So till now we have not completed anything, so that you don't see a recording, but you'll say after 24 hours of the completion of the session, you'll see a record else also here. Okay. Here is the presentation that I'm actually showing it to you, so you can refer that also. And if you want to do some work for the coming module, you can click here and download some exercise or some kind of work which would be there for the next module. Okay, so this is what I thought is important for you to know about LMS. And this is an interesting section where you can go. People have shared some data set there. People have posted their questions. You can definitely explore them and see if you are really interested in something. Maybe there's an existing community, you can join that. Okay. Okay, with that, let me come back. So how Tableau can change your visualization world. It's more of theory, so I'll read through them and explain wherever it's applicable. Tableau is a new generation of business intelligence software, puts data into the hand of people who needs it. Right, so exactly. So the big advantage is it if you are a business analyst or if you are a data analyst, it's put the power in you to focus on the insights rather than how do you arrange the data, create the fields, etc., etc. It gives you the power to focus on insights. Slow, rigid systems are no longer good enough for the business users or the IT teams that support them. Tableau software was founded on the idea that data analysis and subsequent reports should not be isolated activities, but should be integrated into a single visual analysis process, which would, in other words, mean, say, I have a CPG company, I have certain brands that roll up to a particular segment, and I would want to see have a view where I see it segment wise. But tomorrow I felt that these segments are not appropriately clubbed. I want to create new sub segments, or I want to change the products how they roll up to a particular segment. I want to say ABC is at present rolling up to a segment and DEF is rolling to another segment. I want to add the F to the segment of ABC. Okay. So earlier, if I wanted to do that, I depended on the third a team outside, and many a times this was a simple example, but many a times in real life cases, they would give you their process and they'll say it will take a month or so, and that actually erodes the value the that is needed. So to make the decision at that point of time, the people who needed that data, they wanted that kind of segmentation or a hierarchy based on which they can understand will it be appropriate if they if view the data in this fashion. But because of this kind of dependency, it they lost a lot of time and that reduced the value of that information. But in Tableau case, you don't need to do that. You think the data should be arranged in different fashion, you can do that on the fly. Okay, so that's a big advantage. You can create a hierarchy on the fly. So that's just one of the example where I'm substantiating that the reports are no longer in Tableau. The idea is the reports are no longer isolated with the rest of the system, right? It's all integrated. So Tableau combines data exploration and data visualization in an easy to use application that anyone can learn quickly. So basically, I say it a lot of time. So uh, I'm not sure how many of you know Excel, but Excel as such, people undermine many times saying it's a very simple tool. But if you even try to Google out and see the advanced work done on Excel, they're really like great work that can be done, great dashboard that can be done on Excel. Uh, like amazing amount of calculations or like reports that can be done on Excel. So, or formulas which are quite advanced. So basically, Excel is a tool which is very simple. You can just make a grid table there, or very advanced thing also. So I'm just drawing that analogy. Tableau is also very simple. If you just want to do some quick things and you just know a little bit of Tableau, you you can just go ahead and make some quick charts. Okay, even without much knowledge. But if you have knowledge and if you know what to do, you can just create amazing visuals and you can do a lot of amazing works with it. So there's no limit to it. If you know more, you can do much more with that. So it's easy to use, but there's a lot of things to learn and improvise. So at the end, it would want that the IT team can focus on managing the metadata and data centrally, and also the permissions, etc., enterprise wise for deployment. And the analysts can focus on the data insights and understand their users business context and give them relevant dashboards. Okay, so that's where the analyst can focus. Few characteristics of Tableau, I think these are self-explanatory. We saw that uh, it's fast, it's very simple, it's powerful. I told you how it is better than others. It's beautiful. We saw it. We saw the flexibility. So maybe this slide you can just read through it. It's self-explanatory, but it's we have seen all of them in practical. Okay, so now explaining power. Tableau has it all, a wide variety of options to graph your data, the ability to adjust your data. You are using the right data in the right form for the questions at hand. Right. So basically, it means, as I told you, you have the right data, then you know, and you know what you want to do. You can just play around with it and do a variety of things. It's user-friendly interface that's designed around how people think about analysis, allowing you to follow your thought as a question and explore your data. You can work with every major data source from Excel workbook to large data sets. I'll show you that right now. You can even create extracts from large data source in the local extract. So let me just show you the point 3. Okay. So this is the professional version where you have a lot of data sources. If you have a personal version, it will have lesser data source. The public version still have lesser data source. So I'll tell you about each of the version. Just be mindful of it that there are various data source for different kind of versions of Tableau. Okay. So the basic ones are these: Excel, text, access, any statistical file, other files which are like other Tableau files. And then you can connect to Tableau server. Okay, you can connect to SQL server, and then these are various things. Okay, various including Hadoop. Okay, and Greenplum, various data sources you can connect to. These are kind of optimized connections. Optimized means nothing but they have tested on these data sources and they have like fixed all the various kind of issues that can come up. Okay, so these are optimized connection and they are very simple to do as well. We'll see it when we do this the ninth module. We'll see how do we do it. It's very simple. It is just few clicks and entering your credentials and having proper driver installed in place. So that's quite very simple. And if you don't have any kind of optimum connector for any of the data source, you can still go ahead and use the open data base, okay, ODBC connector, okay. So it gives you a wide variety of data source. You can see it is simple Excel file to big data, Google Analytics, anything you can connect to, and that too just with click. And for example, in Click View, which is another tool, a comparator tool, which one of you asked, which is also there in my LMS because I also have certain expertise on that. So there you need to import the data and you need to define the data before importing. Here you don't need to do all those things. It's just clicking it and it comes in. And Tableau has inbuilt intelligence to understand and interpret the data. Okay. And say in statistical file, there are options to connect to SAS, SPSS, R. Okay, so these are the leading statistical tools. The R that we talked about, which we'll be seeing more in module 9, those files, SAS file, SPSS file, all those things, all the data files we can connect to and create visualization on them. Okay, and say I connected to Hadoop and it's a big data with me, or even if I am on Access or a SQL server and there's a lot of data, but the data I need is much lesser. Okay, so I can even create a local extract of it and keep it locally available, and I can use it whenever I want. Okay, there's a question. We are at 30 minutes from our second break, sorry, first break. So let's take all the questions right now. So if people have questions, you can please type in all the questions. I'll address them right now and then we'll move ahead. So I was on the extract part. So how do we create extract, etc.? We'll definitely be seeing that in our following modules. So now a question is from Avinash. SAS files means those that are delivered from SAS tool. Yes, Avinash, you're right. Okay. Any other question at this point? Or can we move ahead then? I think let me move ahead and take the questions later then. There's no other question that has popped up as of now. So, okay. Moving back to our slide. Speed, flexibility, these are kind of a self-explanatory thing which I would encourage you guys to read it and interpret, because the content wise we have covered it all on the Tableau deck. I would want to spend more time on the uh, installation and versions than this. But if you want me to read through each of them, please type in. I would read through each of them because I believe I've given you the kind of context you can definitely interpret what is written here. Simple, it's just drag and drop. So as I told you, if you are a basic user, you can still create good charts. If you're advanced user, you can go do fabulous work. So there's something for everyone. And yeah, so with simplicity, but there's also powerful array of advanced SQL calculations that you can do. We will be seeing all those things. So that is for later class. Table calculations are there, allow us advanced access to manipulate and calculate data items using the data returned from your data source. Let me quickly show you that. Okay, so it's basically it's this chart is this deck that is here. It is talking like it's all about from end to end everything it's talking about. So just give me a moment. I'll show you example. So one thing I showed you how simply you can move from one kind of chart to another. Another thing is on the fly you can do certain kind of calculations. For example, this there are close to 10 quick table calculations here, which are like chosen by Tableau people by considering that which are the most common type of business like calculations that is needed in terms of business context, and then they have made it this list. So for example, and I want to do any of them, and so I don't need to actually do any kind of calculation, any kind of formula writing. I just go here and say I want running total, so it will give me the running total from January to December. Okay, so there's other as well which can be quickly done on a click. Okay, so that can be done just at a click. And then uh, so there's a question here. and the request is that I should answer it. So let me go ahead and answer that. So question is that if this can be integrated with PPT. Okay, so basically you can put this on PPT by exporting it as image. Okay, so for example, let me just say I would change my table calculation from this to, I want percentage difference. I don't want running total, yes. So I want how much Feb is changed as compared to January, how much is March changed as compared to Feb, etc. Okay, so I have this, and I just want to put it on PPT. I can just go here, worksheet, export, export image. Okay, I would want a title for it. So if I don't give a title to it, it would take the sheet name as default title. Okay, this is a view, and then if there is a legend to it, it will add the legend and a caption, and I can just save as. Okay, so I can just save it, and then I can put that image on a PPT. But the thing is, it is not interactive there. Okay, uh, a substitute for PPT. I'll show you this image, but before I do that, you see here something which is called as new story. You see this? This is a substitute for PPT where you can actually use all your charts and have an interactive presentation also. Okay, so basically if you have Tableau and you want to present it to people using a story, you can do that, and that's why you don't need to integrate your charts with PPT, because on PPT it is not very interactive, and that is the essence or the USP of Tableau, where you can actually, even while presenting to client, if somebody asks you a question, you can just drill down to that data then and there and answer this question. So this new story, that the story thing that we'll see at that time, we'll see how it is a substitute for PPT and how we can better use it as compared to a PPT. But if you just want to necessarily put it on a PPT, you can still go ahead and export it as I did, and then you can open this as an image, and what you see here, if there would be so there would be a title, your chart, and if there was a legend would also appear, plus it will add a caption by itself, the trend of difference in pivot fields value for date and months. Okay, and this you can paste it on a PPT, but that will not be interactive. So this is one thing. Another thing is you can publish it to a, there's a special kind of workbook which is called as, it's a version of this Tableau which is saved as .twbx. So the normal file is twb, and the file which you should share as an offline thing is twbx. So this point, basically here it says that if you share it with people using that twbx file, they can open use it using a free reader. For that you don't even need a license, because that's just a reader. Like we have PDF reader, Adobe PDF reader. Similarly, this is a free reader. Okay, but this reader has a specialty that it will allow your users and you as well, even if you don't have license, to interact with the charts. You cannot do any kind of modification to the chart, but you can interact with the chart. Okay, so say you can, you wanted to share a presentation with people, so you make that in the story format as I showed you then, the option, and then you can share it with people and they can open it in using the Tableau reader. Yes. So a storyboard becomes more helpful in that case. And there's also option to publish your work to the web for the for wide consumption. For example, say there's a Tableau that I made, prepared a dashboard, and that is only to be used by my vice president, okay, or my director, or somebody who is just one person. I can email to him in a TWBX file, which will be an offline file. He doesn't need to connect to any kind of data source, anything. He'll just open it using Tableau Reader, and he can view it. But say there's a dashboard that needs to be consumed by a wide range of audience. Say it can be thousands as well, or lakhs as well, okay, or even say few hundreds. So it becomes easier that it is published as a web page, and people can still interact with that dashboard just like they interact it on a reader or on a Tableau desktop, and uh, do their data exploration or understand that dashboard, okay. So that is also possible in Tableau. You can just publish it as a web page, but that has other infrastructure that you need, like Tableau server, etc. So that is as well covered in one of our latest modules. So there was a question, any option that someone opens without a Tableau reader. So that is the option that I talked, Naira, that you can use to publish your data on Tableau server, and that can be just open as a web page using any browser. Okay. So with that, let's. So Nana had raised her hand. So that was the question that Nana had. Okay. Just give me a moment. I'll take a sip of water. Nana has a question that will the web page be interactive just like normal reader? Yes, Nana, it will be interactive. I can give you example of that as well right now. But I think just wait for some time, because then it will be more like you'll have more context to understand it better. Okay, just wait for some time. So beauty, we have all seen their beautiful charts. Okay, but please read through them. Any questions, please ask me. I'll answer that. Now we are talking about installation, architecture, features, and shelves. Let me just quickly glance through it, and then okay, okay. Okay, good. So let me just shuffle the slides a little, and let me say I would want to first give you an introduction about installing Tableau, and then I would want to tell you about the architecture. Okay. So let me talk to you about few things, and please pay attention. As I told you earlier, do not install the trial version right now, because that would only give you 14 days to practice. Okay, but let me talk to you about all the products of Tableau. So I'll just go and to the web and search for it. My browser is slow, I don't know why. Give me a moment. Avinash has a question which I think I missed out. Yes, Avinash, your question is your comment. Our understanding is accurate. So Avinash says in TWBX, all the all should be extract, right? Not live, because live connection will not work on reader. So basically, you are right, because when you say TWB X, that X is nothing but it is a zip file which is packing the data along with your workbook. Okay, and when you send this to anybody, he is getting the workbook plus the data. Okay, so this logically you'll interpret, right, because when you're sending data along, obviously it is not a live connection. Okay, but good question. Okay, so let me go to Tableau. This is the official website of Tableau. Oh yeah, so the screen that you saw was the Tableau conference that happened last month. It was a very exciting conference of week. By the way, yeah. And okay, so let me come here. You see there Tableau desktop, Tableau online, Tableau server, mobile, public, reader, etc. etc. At this point of time, just understand there are three things at this point of time. Okay, one is Tableau desktop, which you install now, then you'll get 14 days of trial version. Okay, else if you are a full-time student with the institute, for example if you're doing a PhD or a MS or something, you can get a 1 year license by submitting your student I card, scanned copy of student I card to Tableau. You'll get a 1 year license for Tableau desktop if you are a full-time student. Second is the Tableau reader, which you understand is only for reading purpose. Okay, then there is something called as Tableau public. Okay, so Avinash, when we Avinash has a question. Avinash, when I'll show you the Tableau reader and then I'll answer your question as well. Okay, just give me a moment. So this is Tableau public. Okay, you can go here and download the Tableau public app for the starting 15 days. The good thing is the interactivity, etc., the options, etc., are all same as the desktop. Okay, but you have lesser option to connect to the variety of datas. Okay, and the only major restriction is you cannot save your work on your local hard disk or any other place. You can only save it in Tableau's own cloud service, which is called as Tableau Public. So you can definitely save your work, but on Tableau's cloud, which is called as Cloud Public. But that is very much fine when you are learning. Okay, so I would suggest you, if you install this and practice it on it and save it on Cloud Public, once you are familiar with it, okay, with Tableau, then you can install the desktop version, which would be a 14 days trial version, and that you can use to uh, save your work and also submit your project. Okay, so that is what I want to tell you. And now let me actually show you Tableau Public and Tableau Reader. So before moving to Tableau Reader, let me show you the Tableau Public. So I had given you guys a glance of Tableau desktop. Now when you see the reader, you'll see that it is quite same. Okay, we'll just open in a while. It is quite same, and it has exactly that restriction with lesser number of data sources to connect, and you cannot publish it. It take a while to open because I have already various resources open on my Tableau, on my system. So basically another thing, Tableau uses your RAM memory, so the more the RAM memory you have will be a faster performance that you'll get. And also that's therefore it is recommended that if you're not using some particular software or applications, you should close that down so that Tableau becomes faster. Tableau Public is a free version of Tableau, unlimited license. There's no time frame for it. Okay, and that is precisely why I suggested you guys go ahead, install Tableau Public. It will give you some basic connection like Excel, CSV, Access, and a open data source to a server. Okay, and if you have anything saved on Tableau Public in your account, you can open it from here. You'll see here this space will be for the recent workbooks. Okay, so say I just want to connect to Excel, I can click here, choose a Excel file. Say let's connect to this Excel file. Yes, so use the Tableau Public, you need to create a Tableau Public account, but that will not even take 30 seconds. It's a quick thing. Okay. So as you saw, I connected to the Excel, and this window is just same as my Tableau desktop. This window is again the next window that would come, which is actually my work area where I'll play around with data. It's opening. There's quite much data, so it's taking a little time. So the point is it would be just same as our Tableau desktop. Okay, so all the options everywhere is just same as the Tableau desktop. You can keep practicing and learning as long as you want. Okay, there's no restriction to it. The only thing is there's no option or called as save. Okay, there's only option save to Tableau Public. Okay, and for that you'll have to actually create a Tableau Public account. Okay, and then just hold on. Yeah, so once you create something, you will get a option. For example, I have market, my sales here. I arrange them, and so Avinash, your question. Let me just show this and then come back to your question, Avinash. Uh, and then after doing all this, you can say save to Tableau Public, and then you go here. Then it will ask you to sign in with the account if you already have. If you don't have, you have to create one for free. Okay, this is how you can create and save it on Tableau Public. So my recommendation, keep on using this, keep on saving on the Tableau Public, but just be mindful that because this is a public domain, just anybody can see your work without using any kind of passwords. Okay, so please don't share any kind of restricted data on Tableau Public, because then it is in public domain and you might not be doing the right thing. Baljit, as I told you, there's no time limit of using public your Tableau license. Public version, as the name says, public. It's free. Okay, it's for everyone. Just anybody can use it. Okay. So that's about Tableau Public. Here, let me just go and show you. Yeah, with this, you can give the server and connect to any of the open data source, but that would be just like a open data source, okay? And that would not be a optimized connection, okay? So you can try using any of the data. If you're finding any problem, just let me know. But the catch here is for the data source that you'll be using, you also need to install drivers in your uh, system for that. So ensure that you install the driver and then you can try connecting to a data source. Okay, Avinash, that answers your question. Let me close this without saving. Now let me show you the Tableau reader. I have changed the sequence of the slides to cover it because I would want all of you to first become comfortable with what are Tableau, what are the various kind. If I just keep reading through the slides, in my opinion, it will not be that comfortable. So I have taken this turn. If you think it is not a right way and you would prefer to actually go by the slide, feel free to tell me. I'll do that. Okay. Okay. Now, this area again shows you some of the recent file that you would have opened. Okay. These are some of the sample workbooks which you can download just if you want to explore it. But there's a question that was there that can Tableau Reader be connected live? Okay. So to answer this, let me show you. It only gives me one logical option of connecting to .twbx. Okay. So does that logic answer your question? There was a question by, let me see who it was, who asked that can it be connected live? Avinash had that question, right? So Avinash, do you get the answer? The only thing that you can open is twbx, and twbx is a file which has, it is nothing but a zip file. Okay, you have the data zipped with your Tableau workbook, so definitely you cannot have a live connection. Okay, this is for offline reading basically. Okay, but once I open a workbook, say this cannot be opened, does not exist. Okay, let me say this, then it will just open as a very, and there were also question about interactivity of the reader, so please be watchful now. How can you interact with it? Okay, so this opened up, this has multiple tabs. I can switch between the tabs. Okay, okay, these are the dashboards. Okay, and I can select something, and okay, there are two charts that getting affected by this, and there's a story similar to PPT. Okay, so I can just scroll across. Okay, so net I can do all the kind of interactivity that is needed. Okay, I can scroll up, down. I can focus on one thing. My other charts will change accordingly. Okay, right? So it is completely interactive. Okay, I can just do anything. Okay, it's completely interactive. So that's the point. Okay, let me close this and come back to our slide. Okay, so let's start with the Tableau desktop after. Yeah, so basically, in we are 10:05 in my watch. Let's take a break. Okay, before that, there's a question. Let me answer that. So there's a question by Lakshmi Narayana. He says, does Tableau Desktop has an option to connect with relational database, or is limited to professional edition? Okay, so uh, I have always been using the professional edition. I know that but as long as you're talking about Access, which is also a relational database, you can connect to Access definitely even with your Tableau personal edition. Okay, so that is not a problem. Okay, the cubes etc. is in the professional thing. The big data is SQL. SQL, as far as my knowledge is there, Lakshmi Narayan, it is allowed in personal and professional both edition. Okay, it's not allowed in public one. Uh, yeah, so that's for sure. So SQL you can connect in both personal and professional edition. But in professional edition, you get more optimized connection for uh, things like big data, Hadoop, etc., etc. Okay. Any other question now? Else, let's take a 5 minutes break. Okay, no questions. So it's 10:06 in my watch. Let's meet at 10:11, 10:10, 10:11. Okay. Thank you. If you are back, can you please say yes so that I can be sure that most of you are back? I still don't see everybody saying me yes. Can you be, if you all can say yes, then I can confidently move ahead. Else you might miss if you are not there actually. Okay, okay, great. So till now we have seen importance of visualization. Why do we need it? How do we go about using our learning management system? How is the basic, like say, look and feel of Tableau, and like how it is superior as compared to the other competing uh, visual tools, visual analysis tools. Okay, and we also saw the various versions of Tableau Desktop, Public, Reader, etc. We know that we should first install the public one to get familiar and then move to the trial version of Tableau Desktop. So with that, let me just try to cover whatever the content is given. Okay, and then we will uh, yeah, we'll see this, and then we'll see the architecture of Tableau, and then we will end with Yeah, we'll end with the architecture of Tableau, and if there are any questions, we'll take that. So, so Tableau Desktop is the rapid-fire authoring environment used to create, publish views, used to create and publish views, reports, and dashboards on Tableau Desktop server, desktop to server. It is nothing but this is your playground where you actually do your work and then share with people. You can create a single visual, you can create a dashboard, you can create a presentation, which is also called a storyboard in Tableau's terminology. Okay, and you can share it with people either as static images or as PDFs or as uh, interactive workbook or offline workbook that can be viewed in Reader or published on a server, which is also interactive. Okay, and the server version can also be is not dependent on device. It can be opened even in any, say, mobile device as well. Okay, using Tableau Desktop is a using Tableau Desktop, a report author can connect to multiple data sources, explore relationship, create data dashboards, modify metadata, and publish a complete workbook or data source to a Tableau server. So this is what actually summarizes everything about it. So this is how what we will explore as we go on. So but the Tableau is capable of doing is connecting to multiple data sources at one time, that to multiple variety of data sources at one time, and then establishing relationship between the data of these multiple data sources and modify the metadata for that them also, and play around with things, create a chart, think it can be improvised, do that, and do the way you think would be making more best sense for your user, and then also share it with people with the various modes that I told you. Okay. Tableau Desktop can open any workbook published in Tableau Server or connect to published data sources, whether published as an extract or live connection. So basically, if I take you to this page, showing a blank screen, it's populating, just a moment. Maybe my RAM memory is exhausted, so it's taking much more time. Let me close that one. So it opened up. Okay. So basically here you see there it is connected to data sources. Okay, these are two data sources. But what I wanted to show was, if I go to this data source tab, so the only thing I want to show right now is there are two kinds of connections available. You can either create live to any data source, okay, or you can create an extract. Extract is nothing but a subset of the subset of a snapshot of the data taken. Okay, so basically it would be, say, if I created an extract at this point at 10:20 a.m. by my watch, so it would create a subset of the data. Okay, and that subset can be done by adding filters. For example, say I have a global data and I am only concerned with North America. Okay, so I'll just create for I'll filter for North America and create my extract, and I can actually take that offline. And there's an advantage of doing this extract is, This extract is called as TDE, which is nothing but Tableau Data Extract or Tableau Data Engine. Basically, that is a proprietary and patented model of Tableau in which it converts your data. It actually writes it in a way that compresses your data at least to 1/10 of it. Excuse me. And because of this compression, and because this creates a kind of query which is just hold on just a minute. Okay, sorry, I'm just having some cough and cold, so that's it's interrupting me. Sorry for that. So yeah, so because it compresses your data to at least 1/10 of its size, and also it does few other things which is like uh, query welding, query redesigning, or rewriting your query in a way it becomes optimized. So it optimizes your data basically, and it makes it very fast for the user. Okay, so it is advised that if you really don't need a live connection, you should always go for extract for a better performance. Okay, so we have a module where we talk details about this also. Okay, for now let's move away. We can close it. There's a question, and let me take all the questions right now. And again, we'll take say after 15 minutes. So it's a question by Baljit Singh. He says that where we can such sources Excel. Baljit, can you rewrite your question? I'm not very clear. Okay, get. Okay. So few data sources, Baljit. First thing, when you install when you download the Tableau desktop, along with that, a folder gets created in your My Documents called as My Repository, which would have data sources along with your Tableau workbook, which will have sample superstore, world time, etc., etc. Okay, okay. And secondly, go through the community in our Edureka community. The people who have published various kind of interesting data sources on which they had worked. Okay, and plus you can also Google and, for example, I want superstore data. I'll show you how can I get that. Okay. Explorer. Okay, so let me just go here and say Tableau Superstore data. Tableau has a very rich community of users who constantly contribute, and you would find that somebody would have actually in some kind of community discussion, you see super sales Excel data, okay, they would have contributed. See, this is all super Excel, superstore Excel data. So people have contributed it. So you can go to these links and you can download it from there. Okay, not at all a challenge to get, uh, uh, not at all a challenge to get data. Plus, there is something called as Google public. Okay, so these are data which is like contributed by people to be used in public domain. They are basically data about some social information, so you can even go and explore this thing. Okay, so a lot of data that you can get free for your exploration and learning. So I told you three places. One, rather four places. One, along with Tableau. Second, in our community. Third, in Tableau's community, which you can get into by just Googling. And fourth, in Tableau public data. Okay, this site. Okay, any questions on this so far? Okay, cool. So moving ahead, to install is very simple. When you open a Tableau, uh, when you just open that Tableau in your file and you go to this Tableau, so this would be similar. Right now it is public. If I have to select Tableau desktop, it will open for desktop. There will be something like download the app, okay, and then you'll get a window which would be similar to this one. Just agree, install, and then you'll have before opening it will ask you to register. Then you have to uh, give your email ID, phone number, etc., etc. So that's a very simple thing that will take under 30 seconds. Okay, and when you install a full version your Tableau desktop, then you get this additional window which would say three options. First, you can start the 14 days trial right away, or you have just installed it right now but you don't want to start the trial version. You can save your 14 days for a later period. You can do this second option. Else, if you have a product key, for example, a student license, or if you already have a license, you can just go for the third one and activate your product. Okay. This I showed you. This is for an older version. This is not a Tableau 9, which is the latest. Start page. Let me go to the start page and stop there. I will not read through the slide. Key sections. Okay. This is also I'll talk on the. So all these things I'll talk on the dash on the application itself, so that you guys can interest and interpret. Okay. So first I'll go to, this is a toggle button, which is again a new feature in Tableau 9. Okay. So this allows you to toggle between home screen and your Tableau. Okay, so this is your home page, and this is what I want to tell you about it is first the left hand side. Let's see it. Okay, so left hand side, as you would have guessed by now, is to connect to your data sources. Okay, it again has three sections. First are those static files which are there on your shared drive, on your local drive, anywhere. Then the section is for the server, online connection, live connection, etc. Then this section, which I was actually telling, where from where you'll get the data source. When you install a Tableau desktop, it comes along as free data source. Okay, so these two, if you just want to open for practice. Then there's a middle section which says open. So if you want to open a new workbook, just click on this, and then this is the section where your recent work that you would have done on Tableau is all visible here as a thumbnail, and you can just go and select one. Okay, whichever you want to open out of the recent one. Okay, and then there are few sample workbooks which I had opened the Superstore one to just show you what are the capabilities or how would a Tableau desktop look like. Okay, so this is about the middle section, which is opening a workbook, and the right hand side is to discover. Okay, so first top section is about some basic trainings on getting started with Tableau. Okay, and then this section is a section that gets updated every week. Okay, and basically, like users like you, me, etc., who are on Tableau public, they they and they're, because this is a very rich community of Tableau, there are many contributors. They keep contributing their good work in Tableau public, and then Tableau company actually their selectors go ahead and select one best visual, and then they uh, like they exhibit it in this section. Okay, like visual of the week, which is nothing is written as viz of the week. Okay, so if you just want to explore it, you can click here and it will open a window for you. Okay, second thing, it is a blog which is like say most active blog, which would be by the time it is opening, I'll just go here and keep talking. So it's say a interesting article on a blog or something that would be here, and this is the virtual Tableau conference. There was a Tableau conference that was done last month, and it was actually broadcasted live, and even their library is saved now. So you can click on this link and go there. And then these are various communities of Tableau. So basically, to summarize, left is to connect to your data, center is to open workbooks, and the right top is to get trained, and bottom is like a magazine. Okay, it's like a magazine. It talks about what's going around in Tableau's world. Okay, so basically, under this, the screen that you see today is not how it was since it started. It all has evolved by actually understanding keenly what does a customer want and what would make him excited and keep him engaged. So that is the principle on which Tableau runs, and that is why it is leading the other competitors in terms of creativity, visualization, vision, easiness, etc. Okay, so with that, let me go to the window that we would have opened. So this what you see here is actually a dashboard. Okay, this is a dashboard. Okay, and somebody asked me that how would it appear if we publish it. So you see this is nothing but a web page. If I just say copy and paste it on the chat window, all of you can open it as well. So let me just do that. Okay, let me, I've pasted this URL and shared it with all of you. So if you click on that, the same page will open for you, and the only thing which I want you to note here, that it is written as public.tableau. So this is available for anybody's consumption, just anybody. But if you were within your organization environment, so this would be typically your orgname.tableau.com, which would be a Tableau server installed in your company, and it would be also visible to people within your company, just like a web link, just as this web link, but it would be restricted to within your company's environment or maybe particular team, etc., based on the permissions they have. And these permissions are actually managed by the administrator, typically from an IT team. Okay, there's somebody who says that Naina can hear me, but she cannot see it. Can other people see my screen? So Naina, everybody can see my screen. Naina, can you just check your connection? Okay, so Avina, as I'm looking at the question window, I'll just address all the questions that are there. So Avinash had a question: will we will we be going like net? Are we going to discuss sometime in future about creating efficient workbooks which are like better in performance? So yes. So when we talk about dashboard, we are going to talk about that as well. And then there's a question which is, can we give customized access to team? Exactly, Agrim. Your question is nice, and yes, you can. Okay, so there you can publish. You can do customize in multiple ways. Okay, one is you can publish specific dashboard and give specific rights to people, or rights to specific people. Okay, and that also you can give specific right. Few people can just be interactive, few people can do some kind of editing, etc. Okay, and there's another kind of access which you can give, which is typically, for example, I am publishing a global data, but I don't want the national sales manager for one country to view the data of other country. So even that is possible. Okay. So at this stage, I think I should not give you more details on this, as else you can get confused. Okay. So this is a dashboard. This is a web page. And similarly, if you publish it within your organization, anybody can just go ahead and see it as a web page. Okay. And that dashboard will be as interactive as your Tableau workbook. Yeah. So basically, you can do a selection here. You can remove dates, etc. Okay. Sorry, I should have apply. Then my chart would change here. Okay. Okay. So basically, this talks about pain in various season and when is the peak, etc. So this kind of chart. Okay. It's beautiful, simple, attractive, engaging chart. Okay. And yeah, so basically this is how a public would look. And when you also start using the public thing, and if you publish, it will also be visible under public with some link. Okay. So anybody actually browsing through the gallery can come to see what you have published. So it is advised, nahi, it is actually strongly advised. In fact, if you are a part of your company, your HR and your IT team would restrict you not to publish your company's data here on this site. Okay. So with that, I was talking to you about this. So this is the home window. Okay. And now let me toggle back to screen. So whenever I import any data, okay, it gets Tableau has an intelligent system which would divide things as dimensions and measures. Okay, what are dimension, what are measures? Let's see later. But right now, dimensions are nothing but, say, discrete items about which you want to know. For example, employees. Okay, and measures are nothing but the matrix about that you want to know. For example, sales, profit, etc. Okay, and I think by mistake I touched something, so it is processing that. Uh, but no problem, we can still go ahead and talk about other shelves. These are the top shelves which are we will explore as we see each like as we advance through. We'll see these sections. Uh, these are called as shelves. The page shelf is needed to create a, say, a motion chart, a chart that changes automatically. Okay, just at a click of a button. Okay, so to create that chart, it's needed. And just hold on, let me remove this. Okay, and then filter is when you want to filter out on certain things. For example, I put my dates here and then I say that I want to filter. We'll see everything in detail as I told you, so I'll not repeat it, but only because you don't get concerned I'm repeating it. So even everything will see in a lot of details. So but here this way you can kind of go ahead and select a range date and just filter that out. For example, I can filter this much, apply. Okay, so my date gets restricted to only that much. Okay, I can show my filters here on the desktop as well by clicking it, show quick filter. Okay, it will be visible here. Then this is the shelf which is very useful where you will work a lot, and this is actually the building block of a chart. Okay, this was like to automate a chart, this was to filter the data, but this is to actually the building block of a chart. Okay, so here you can change the chart type, here you can change the size. Okay, here you can add things to the label. So example, I want to add, this is like it doesn't make sense, but I'm just doing that. Doesn't make sense, like, but it is like I added the name of employees to the chart, then it is giving me under each bar which is getting which are the employees. Doesn't make sense in this example. I just cancel it. Details is a little complex one. I'll take it when the appropriate time is there. Tooltip is something that I want appear when I just hover over it. For example, I want all the employees name to appear when I hover over it. I'll just keep it here. So whenever I hover over it, it is actually showing me star if you see, because there are multiple employees in per band. Okay, but if I say, mm, it's not a good example for it, but if I had anything else, let me just open a sample workbook again then to show you that. That would take some time to open. By the time I'm just showing you other things. So tooltip is if anything, any dimension you drop on tooltip, that will be available as a pop-up as you just hover over it. Okay, and then at the right hand side is the most important thing. It is kind of a consulting work that Tableau does for its users. So based on the data that you select, it will tell you which are the charts that you should select, which you can opt for. Okay, okay, so this is show me. It has a list of close to 22 charts. Okay, so you can just play around with it. The thing is you should pay attention, and what you should try to learn is to make a heat map. Just see this section in the bottom, this section. Okay, so to make a heat map you need one or more dimension is nothing but this. Okay, and one or two measures. You can have more dimensions. Okay, multiple dimensions, but you cannot have more than two measures. Okay, so pay attention to that part as you play around with all of them. Okay, the question. Pradeep, I told us some time back that the page shelf does the motion chart. Motion chart is a part of one of our advanced chart. We'll see it that time. Okay, everything put on the same day might become overwhelming for many of us. So let's not do that. Okay, but that's to answer your question in short. It is to bring a chart in motion, something like an animated way. Okay. Uh, okay. So with that, I think the one is open. Yeah. So if I go to this, or rather, if I go to this one, just save it and go to sheet. So when I hover over it, I see the country, I see profit ratio, I see sales, I see profit. Okay. So for example, I want to also see discount. I would just drop this discount on tooltip. Now I hover over anything. Just hold on. Okay, discount is some. It has come to details. Let me not give discount then. Say country state. Um, just hold on. Profit sales, profit ratio, quantity. Okay. Insert quantity. Okay. Now you also see the Q thing, quantity. Okay. So it comes just as a pop-up. Okay. Okay, there are multiple questions, so I think we are left with around 12 minutes of the session. Maybe I can extend a few minutes, but there are multiple questions. Let me just read. Uh, okay, Avinash was a comment. Okay, insert window. Avinash, you has a here. We need to add elements from insert window. What is that? Yeah, so you can do multiple ways. This is one of the way was to type in this way. Another way is actually even you can drag drop things which will appear in the tooltip. Okay, you could have like drag drop here and you could have that would have appeared. So there are multiple ways you can do the same thing. Like in Windows you can do multiple ways in the same thing, you can do it here also. Okay, and then there's a question by Agrim. Can you say dimensions are attributes of the data like employees, debt, department, etc., and measures are the data like sales, quantity, revenue? No, you're right, Agrim. So basically, that is what it is. We would have seen it later in more detail, like we would see it. But in short, it is exactly like that. Dimensions are like those discrete values, or let me not even say discrete, they are like attributes. They are the fields. If I talk to you in terms of a table, so if I just talk to you like this, just hold on. Okay, map could not be loaded. So if I talk to you like I want customer name, segment, and country, and profit, quantity, sales, and I go to show me and I make it a table. Okay. And if I go up here, so what you see here, okay, in the like the information about like the for whom you need information is this country, this segment, this customer name, and what information you need is profit, quantity, sales. So what is this part? Like what is the information, the matrix, and about whom is this part, which is nothing but dimensions. Typically they are discrete and these are continuous. Okay. So with that, let's wrap up our today's session with the last part, which is the architecture of Tableau, which is more theoretical, nothing to be shown on application on it. But can I ask you guys, are you getting a like what my objective like from the start was to get you all familiar with Tableau. So if you open the Tableau, install and open it now onwards, will you feel familiar with it much more than what you were earlier? Have we achieved that goal? Okay, great. Great. So if you think that is achieved, I think that goal for today is achieved. From familiarity to advanced and expert, we will go in our journey of this 10 modules. Okay, so product architecture. Tableau has high scalable entire client server architecture that serves mobile client, web client, and desktop installed software. This simply means that it is designed in a multiple layer architecture where there is a separate architecture for managing data and for managing the visual presentation. Okay. The next point is what we have already seen it, the server. Okay, the server is a place where you can publish it as a platform where you can publish and can be seen by thousands, lakhs of users. It offers powerful mobile and browser-based analytics. Work, as I told you, if you publish something on a server, that can be viewed even by mobile devices. Okay, please stop me if you want. I should give more details on some point because I am just think like what I think I have already covered. I'm just going fast on that. So this thing you can divide the screen into three parts. Let me try to help you visualize that. So you can divide the screen into three parts. The first part would obviously be this one, okay, and the second part is in the middle. The right is the third part. So basically these are the various data sources which can connect to your Tableau, okay, and these are the various ways in which readers can see your work, okay. So this is where you are, this is where your users are, this is where your data is, okay. Here again it can be divided in two parts. The top part is where you are, bottom part is where the server is, where you are publishing your work, okay. Now you can connect with the data in two ways. One is the live, okay. Second is you create an intermediate TDE file which is nothing but an extract which I told you is compressed to 1/10 and it's much faster, etc. Okay, and then you can straight away create a chart, okay, and then you can share this chart with people as an offline file on Tableau Reader or as a static file. As I showed you, how can you take an image and then save as PDF is what I've not shown you. I'll show that to you. That is again very simple. Is just saving it as PDF, okay, printing it as PDF, and then these are two things. But the thing is, both this is a offline file, okay, but it is interactive. This is a static file. So it is offline but not interactive. This is an online thing and interactive. Okay. But to reach here, you cannot directly come here. You cannot directly come here. It is a cross. You need to publish it on your server. Okay. Your server will publish it here. And from server, you can even send static file also. That's okay. Now, on the server also, what you can do, you can connect your server live to a data source, or similarly like a with a extract, and you can schedule extract to get it refreshed, say every 15 days, every hour. So the least time for which you can actually schedule a refresh of extract is 15 minutes. Okay. So, and these are the internal structure of the server, and thus you publish on the server, you manage the permissions, and then it is getting on the web or static anyways. So these are typically the four section of this slide. If you understand this, you will basically understand the full environment of Tableau. So if you have any questions on this, please ask me, else I'll just go ahead with next slide. Okay. So now this is the server architecture, this part. Okay, this part. So this, again I'll take a pen. So this part is the data part, which we saw the left hand section. Okay, it can be in terms of we saw it on the application of Tableau that it can be flat files, it can be relationship databases, it can be on server, it can be cubes, etc. Okay, so basically with data warehouse, there can be a TD connection with various files also. In fact, there can be a TD connection, there can be SQL connector. So all this is applicable for each other. All these three of them is applicable for these two. Okay, all the three of them. But when you have a cube, you have a separate MDX connector. Okay, so that's nothing you'll not have, will not like at this stage. It is enough to know that there's a different connector on the server level for it. So Agrim has a question which I think I've already said, so that like I'll just go back to the slide to show you. His question is that can we extract and use it on server? So this is precisely what is here. You can see my cursor right on the server. You have taken extract, saved it on server, and then you're using. So that was your question, Agrim, if I have understood it correctly. Else you can ask me again. Okay. Now, Acha, we are already at a closer of our time. I hope you guys have some time, but I'll not go ahead of 5 minutes. If something is left, we will cover it in the next session. We'll take into next 5 minutes, and whatever is left, we'll take in tomorrow's session, so that we give enough justice to each topic. Okay. So let me just go here. So these are the various connectors, and this is the repository which is within your server. Okay. And then the main components of server are two things. Okay. I told you about the entire thing, right? Where I told you there are multiple layers for the data part and the presentation part. So data part is managed by the data server, and presentation part is managed by the VSQL server. Okay, VSQL is nothing but Visual SQL. It's a language which is quite similar to SQL, but what it does actually is when you do a say a simple drag and drop, it actually writes a SQL query at the backend. Similar to SQL query at the backend, not exactly SQL query, but similar to SQL query. And that query gets fired on the data, and the result that you get, your visual is built on top of that result. Okay, so in that fraction of second when you are doing a drag and drop, these things happen in the backend. Okay, and this technology was developed by Tableau and patented by Tableau, and that is one of the major reasons that today even the competitors know that this is the logic that they should use, but they cannot go ahead and do it, and Tableau is having this competitive advantage. So they have patented this technology of WizQL, and this is the application server which manages the other applications which are mounted on the server or on which it needs to get connected. Okay, there is also something called as backgrounder. I'll talk to you about it in following slide, which is again an important thing, good thing to know rather. Gateway load balancer. So basically there's nothing but see it as there are various clients. Client has nothing in this example. Client is not your end user but your end user devices. Okay, so there are multiple devices which are asking data from the server. Okay, because they're connected to the server, and so the say the same dashboard is open at the same time from three places. This is desktop, this is mobile, this is browser. Okay, so all of them are asking this guy server to send him the data so that he can change the visual. So this person gateway load balancers does a balance between them. And also there's a thing is while configuring a server, you can create like servant servers also there. So say if the main server is loaded, automatically the load gets transferred to the next one. But details on the server is actually not in scope of this course. But I'll give you the information where and as and where needed. Okay, let me go to the next slide now. Okay, let me delete it. I hope you all are following me, right? I see you guys are very interactive and you have good questions, so I'm confident you guys are following. But in case you don't, then please feel free to stop me and ask. Great. So data layer. So we talked about multi-layer, multi-tiering, okay, multi-end-tier. So let's talk about data layer, which is the data part of the entire. Tableau does not require your data to be stored in any single system, proprietary or otherwise. Okay. Most organizations have a heterogeneous data environment, data warehouse, live alongside databases and cubes. Flat files like Excel are still very much in use. And this is practically true with most of the companies. They might have a data mart, but in addition to data mart, they depend on third-party data. They depend on some of the local data which a department have maintained. Okay, and then need multiple other data sources to actually come up with good insight. And there is where Tableau comes very handy and useful. You can connect to multiple data at the same time, and you can even make those data talk to each other by creating good joins between them. Okay, join is a database term which I understand from most of your qualifications and background that you will have good familiarity with it. If not, you can ask me. In fact, we are covering in one of the subsequent classes as well. Tableau can work with all of these simultaneously. You don't need to bring any of that all the data in your memory unless you choose to. If your existing data platforms are fast and scalable, Tableau allows you to directly leverage your investment by utilizing power of database to answer the question. This means live connections. If that is not the case, Tableau provides easy option to upgrade your data to fast and responsive. Our fast in-memory data engine, that is nothing but Tableau data engine, TDE. Okay. Data connectors. There are two type of connectors: live connector and in-memory connector. Rest we have seen on the application and we have discussed on that. Live connection. So let me just see how many slides are left. Okay, quite many. So 28, and we are on 23. So this is nearly something of 20 to 30 minutes. So I would say prefer, now is 11:07 by my watch. Let me take 3 minutes to answer questions. These slides from slide 23, 28, we'll start with it tomorrow, and then we'll go to tomorrow's session. But the good thing is we gave enough time to each of the topic here so that all your queries were solved as and when they arise. Okay, so if you have any questions, we will address them now, else we will continue from this slide 23 to 28. Rest we have covered. Even after 28 we have covered. So we'll cover these slides tomorrow. So I'm looking at the question window. If you have any question, please ask me. Okay, great. So nice that you guys liked the session. So, but please remember to give your feedback in the feedback form that you'll get at the close of this session, because that is very important to me. It tells Edureka how are their instructor actually able to help their students. So it's very important. Please fill that up. Okay. Thank you so much.